Gentrification, Part 2. Introduction to gentrification. Definitions of gentrification. Gentrification is the process that dislocates traditional low-income residents and changes the social fabric of the neighbourhood, and the process by which higher-income households displace significant numbers of low-income residents of a neighbourhood, thus changing the essential character and flavour of the neighbourhood. Signs of gentrification. The reinvestment of capital into a declining neighbourhood. Social upgrading of locale by incoming high-income groups. Landscape change, streetscape improvement, public art and street furniture. Direct or indirect displacement of low-income groups. Conspicuous cultural consumption, designer shops, art galleries, bars, restaurants and cafes. Gentrification Type 1. Different places are going through different types of gentrification at any one time. The well-educated but economically struggling avant-garde of artists, graduate students and assorted bohemian and countercultural types who rent and share the dilapidated inner city with long-term, often working-class residents. This marginal stage usually shows little or no displacement. Gentrification Type 2. Early gentrifiers. Cultural professionals who work in public or art sectors and hold liberal values of tolerance and egalitarianism, who are often more likely to own their own homes and renovate as a labour of love. Gentrification Type 3. The area is discovered by people with more money who buy the still inexpensive houses or apartments as a canny home investment, and by developers and property investors who buy to rehabilitate and sell. At this stage, gentrification proper, both the old established and new wave tenants are displaced. Gentrification Type 4. Highly renovated dwellings are returned to the market at greatly increased prices to the most affluent buyers and renters as gentrification takes hold. Social diversity diminishes and the search for the next ungentrified locality moves on. Gentrification Type 5. Super gentrification. Real estate development and new build, residential and non-residential expanding within partially gentrified neighbourhoods and outwards in a much more comprehensive way. It involves larger scale developers. Resistance is declining as the working class is continually displaced from the inner city. The state is more systematically involved through policy and capital. The measures of gentrification are displacement, rent gap, and affordability. Rent gap. This investment in area provides a rational incentive for developers to buy up discounted property. The rent gap appears between the ground rent of the property at the point of buying that could be potentially sold at a higher value after improvements. Gaps can also appear with pressure to convert rental to owner-occupied or with change of land use. The policy implications are control mechanisms for rent house prices, controlling land use change, controlling mix of tenures, investment in community facilities. Affordability. The ability of households to purchase or rent property that satisfies the needs of the household without subsidy. Affordability measured as the ratio of household income to the price of property to buy or rent. or affordability measured as residual income, which means the money needed to cover cost of living after housing costs have been deducted. Residual income is household income minus rent or mortgage. If renting privately takes up more than 25 to 35% of gross household income, the house is unaffordable. The policy implications: safeguarding affordable rent, provision of affordable housing, safeguarding local business, bottom-up control of housing, wide range of housing providers who offer diverse types of tenures for full range of household types. Displacement. The lower and middle income households in the rental and purchase market who are either evacuated as a result of gentrification or who remain stressed households awaiting being priced out to remain, leading to systemic exclusion. Physical dislocation because of unfair increased costs of housing or eviction, forcing residents out of a neighbourhood and further from the core of the city toward cheaper and often poorer quality accommodation and impinging on the continuity of their social lives, relationships and networks. Symbolic displacement is the feeling of isolation or alienation, a sense of loss of place and a deeper sense of nostalgia for changing social relations and lost connections as a result of tenurial insecurity and changes in the physical and social environment, an unwanted loss of social diversity. Policy implications: provision for rehousing locally, safeguarding affordable rent, provision of affordable housing, safeguarding community facilities and local businesses. Gentrification prevention policies. Policies that tackle the gentrification process, rent gap mitigation, affordability management, minimize displacement, safeguard social justice. Theme 1. Policy and regulation. Leadership, vision, governance, policy, regulatory frameworks at micro, local to national to support pro-social regeneration. Leadership by other bodies, for example, housing providers. Theme 2. Diverse housing. Social affordable housing as central, the role of student accommodation, other transient populations, tourism properties for more well-off, recognition of diversity as making a positive and enriching contribution to a place. Theme 3. Stakeholder partnership. Working with partners and communities, genuinely and authentically engaging stakeholders, elements of co-design and local ownership of space. Theme 4. Inclusive public space. Space which works for the frequently marginalised, for example, children, elderly, disabled, minority ethnic communities. Promotion of equality to meet the needs of diverse users. Understanding how the place can welcome cultural exchange, recognising shared or different narratives as equally valid. Theme 5. Nurturing local business. Balancing local business with inward investment and tourism demands. Making physical and economic space for Indigenous business. Theme 6. The holistic community. Recognising and building in space for education, health, cultural and social community facilities. Making provision for food shopping, physical accessibility, a permeable place and walkable. Thank you for watching. Please return to the web page and take the survey.